Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review. Today, we're going to be reviewing the new film, The Fall Guy, which made its world premiere at South by Southwest this year, and we got to see it at CinemaCon 2024. So, this film is directed by David Leitch and written by Drew Pearce, and it stars Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Winston Duke, Stephanie Shu, Teresa Palmer, and more. Also, because it's out there, I would say it also, if you are a fan of the 1980s television show, then yeah, you're going to see a cameo of sorts in this film that will certainly give you a little smile. If you know, you know. But yeah, we got to check it out at CinemaCon. So yeah, we get a chance to see this with a bunch of different moviegoers, both press, both movie theater owners, both fans. And with that, now that we're back home, got a chance to kind of let them metabolize a little bit and see what we thought. Now they're with the merch. They did give us some shirts, which was really cool. The theater was amazing that we saw it in. It wasn't IMAX, it wasn't Dolby. It was a little bit of whatever they wanted it to be any night. Because it seems like whoever was the sponsoring technology for each presentation, I guess they got a chance to do what they wanted to do. But nonetheless, we saw it in I feel one of the best theaters I've been to in a while. So it really brought this film to life, and seeing it with other moviegoers in that capacity was a lot of fun. So I'll start off by saying that I enjoyed this film because, as somebody who loves stunts, who loves fight choreography, for somebody who just loves that department that just do not get enough flowers, the fact that this film was all of that, giving flowers back to the folks that perform the stunts, the fight choreography, even to the point that this film lands its first ever stunt designer credit, and which is like kind of wild to think that. But nonetheless, I think yes, this was a film to give all of those folks in those departments flowers, their flowers, while also still paying homage to some of the great fight sequences, fight moments, fight action sequences. Like, there's definitely a lot of nods to things that you're going to say, yeah, I know where you pulled that from. I know what you did there, while also giving Lee Majors his love and respect and flowers for his time on the original Fall Guy show. So I love just the vast amount of love that they gave back to those folks in terms of action choreographers and stunt choreographers and so on, stunt doubles and all that folks, all those folks, their love. So for that, it was action packed, a lot of fun. The plot, we'll talk about it, I guess. But yeah, I did like this, and we'll get with you, Lou. What was your thoughts about this film?
Well, if you are a fan of the original series, this movie's not going to be for you. This movie is a complete departure from the Fall Guy series. So in that aspect, anyone who does love the original that this is based off of, I think you're going to get a really bad taste out of your mouth. But if you're just someone who's in for a summer action film, this is possibly it here. Again, there's no plot, but there's a lot of action, a semi-love story involved in it, and things go boom, which is technically all you need for a summer film, is for things to go boom. And a lot of things go boom in Fall Guy. It's a fun film, but it never takes itself seriously enough to like catapult it to that fun film that's awesome. But it's just a nice summer popcorn film.
Yeah. And Nadia, what about you?
I absolutely loved it. I was gonna say first, when I first heard the name, I was like, didn't we already get this Ryan Gosling movie like 3 times? Like when I first heard of it, I was like thinking I kept mixing it up with Ryan Gosling movies, and then I realized, oh, it's the '80s show. But I did I say Ryan Gosling or Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan, you meant Ryan Reynolds, because I did that too. Yeah.
I meant we got this movie 3 times already with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I was, but no, I absolutely love Ryan Gosling in this. I thought it was epic. It was a great time. I think it's gonna reach a lot of different audiences because it touches fans of like action, comedy, and romance. and it does it all very well. I always go back to Ghosted, which I thought was absolutely horrendous, but this movie, The Fall Guy, actually, like, the romance was like pretty good. The chemistry between him and Emily Blunt was fantastic. You really felt like their love for each other. I thought the romance actually hit all the moments. In terms of action, it was a complete blast. I loved everything about it. You kind of even mentioned like how they paid homage to stuntman. They even briefly like made jokes about like, I wish this was like a nominated category, because stunt teams like do incredible work, and I think this movie kind of pays like a little respect to that.
Yeah. Without a doubt, I think this movie is must see. And I think that um it's also one of its kind. I have not seen a film that just leaned so heavy into ensuring that these folks got their flowers by at the same time delivering so much fun and action for the viewers. As you all mentioned, the comedy's in there, the plot is very meh. The love aspect of it didn't beat you over the head with it. Like, it just worked in a way that was kind of campy at times, but it was like, you know what, I could kind of buy into this. And I also think while Ryan Gosling is a fantastic actor, and so is Emily Blunt, you know, I felt like everybody really had moments to shine and to also show their also stunt choreography and stunt skills. So everybody I named got a moment to get theirs in. And whether they did their stunts or not, I think overall, just the continuity across the board with everybody was just very good. I don't think anybody lacked, or I don't think there was a particular part of the film that I just could have did without. It just was a very action-packed start of the summer kickoff that really should get people back into theaters. And while I'm at it too, let me just quickly talk about it, because Ryan Gosling's character, Colt, he's an action choreographer. He's one of the best in the industries. And after a stunt goes wrong, he finds himself on the bench. And he is a stunt double for one of Hollywood's top actors in Tom Ryder, who's Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. I mean, this guy is, I don't know. How do you put him? He feels himself. You know, he knows he's the man. He's definitely egotistical.
Kanye mixed with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I think you said that to me too, which is
Kanye
true.
Kanye mixed with Tom Cruise.
Yeah. On that note, could be a little bit problematic to work with. But after the accident, as I mentioned, Colt decides to just hang it up and just to go about life a little bit different. But his ex-girlfriend, Jody, who's played by Emily Blunt, she is now stepping into her feature directorial debut. And when Tom goes missing, they need someone to step up to help Jody get her film completed. And Colt would do anything to try to win his ex back, or at least get her back on his good side. But like we said, even with that plot and however sophisticated you want to think that to be, it really is a very light and easygoing plot that's just filled with a lot of stunt action scenes, and also, like you said, really giving a glimpse into what that life is, but also like nodding, kind of giving a nudge towards Hollywood to also make sure that they give them the respect they deserve for all they do. And I even saw that this film broke the Guinness Book of Records for most canon roles performed in a car. So, even while they're performing the film, they're still, really still just showing what these folks can do, and once again, just dazzling Hollywood with a department that is to me is still very underappreciated. On that note, though, to you, Nadia, when you talk about the things you like, what were some of the things that didn't work for you? Some of the things you could have did without? Your negatives of the film. Where would you go on that note?
So I would say my only negative they kind of touched upon. So I feel like maybe the first act you kind of don't really know where the story's headed. Maybe towards like the middle of like the second act, you start to finally understand what's happening. But they did make a joke about exposition, which I was kind of like, okay, they know. It kind of dragged a little bit in the beginning before it really got anywhere. But being that they joked about it kind of made you like, I don't know, like made the film a little more funnier and a little more enjoyable.
And you, Lou?
I'm gonna have to echo the same thing. The first act is not good. It's not good at all. But it's a lot of setup. But it feels like at times a lot of pointless setup in the first act, but it survives just based off of Ryan's and Emily's chemistry. That's what drives you through
Mhm.
most of the film. I also did not like the Aaron Taylor Johnson character.
I
So it was
loved
just
it.
it was super over the top and unnecessarily annoying. And it wasn't I think it's because it's a better villain in the film, and they pinpoint that better villain when the film goes on, and it just makes that character even more pointless than it is at the beginning of the film. So those are the two things for me that really like, okay, these are things I could do without.
I think Aaron Taylor Johnson does a fantastic job of being casted as exaggerated characters all the time.
Yeah.
He's always a hit or miss for folks, but
He nailed it.
nonetheless, yeah, whatever script they give him, I feel like he always gives 150%, and it just depends on how it translates on screen. But
Because wait, can I just say
true
something real
wrestling
quick?
villain, if you ask me, go for it.
I was just gonna say, what I love with Aaron's character though, because you see how he is on set when he's performing, and you see him behind the scenes as his true Kanye West character. But when he's on screen, you see how passionate he is about his role and about acting, and how like he makes like people cry. like audiences love him, and I feel like he's just like such a, I don't know, like you can tell like he's a beloved character. He's on billboards, he's on perfume commercials, underwear ads, whatever it is. He's like, I don't even know, like the Brad Pitt, bigger than Brad Pitt, like Tom Cruise level, like of the world. And people
Yeah.
just like love him. And then he's like a super asshole behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like we didn't see him get that Johnny Depp Savage cologne commercial. So like for me, and we could go around on this one. The reasons why I feel like you need to see this film, because one, again, if you love stunts and fight choreography, explosions, action, you're going to get that here. But I also think for the folks who love films just deep with Easter eggs, there's so many of them. There's so many things you can be like, I know what you did there. I know where you got that from. I know that melody. I know that score. I know what you're trying to allude to there. They hit them all, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, that's the thing. And it's funny because, like, in the theater capacity that we watched it, you could hear people pick up on the smallest things. I said no spoilers, but I'll just quickly say, when there was a Phil Collins melody, everybody picked it up. It's like, oh, I know that jingle. I know that jingle. So like, it's just so much that's so deep in this film of things that you just will enjoy. I totally think that alone just makes it worth a watch. Performances across the board, I think everybody just kind of evened out each other. But nonetheless, yeah, as Lucas said, there's a lot of explosions in this, a lot. And if you love things exploding of the likes of Michael Bay, but not Michael Bay, well, here you go. You're going to get all of those plus more. But yeah, certainly anybody who loves a good action film, ready to get kicked off for the year, and just feel rich with Easter eggs, this is the film for you. Nadia, how about you? Why is this the film to watch this year?
I loved every aspect of it. Like I was saying, like the comedy hit for me, the action hit for me, the romance hit for me. In terms of like the comedy, I also think Winston Duke was like a notable character. Like he was hilarious. He kept giving like movie quotes, and like his interactions with like Ryan's character were absolutely hilarious. I love Winston Duke in this. I think he was one of the best characters in it. And then in terms of like the action, like you were kind of mentioning, there's tons of crazy references. We actually got quoted in the CinemaCon Fall Guy. They were quoting a lot of people's quotes, and I was basically like, it's an action-packed thrill ride full of hilarious movie references. And there's so many moments where I'm like, holy crap, that reminds me of like Family or like the Fast and the Furious. And like, there's so many moments where I'm like, oh my god, like this reminds me of that. And they kind of show you, not necessarily like a step by step, but they kind of show you like a behind the scenes of like a stuntman's life. And like, I thought that was really cool. Like you mentioned, it's not something we've really seen before.
Yeah. And for you, Lou?
If you're a fan of the A-Team movie or Get Smart or Walking Tall, it's in that vein of that type of remake. And for that, I think it's perfect for people who go to the films in the summer. Like, this is what you're looking for. You're not necessarily looking for things to make you think. I mean, unlike last summer when you had 2 movies that made you think. Most people not going to movies in the summer to make you think. They want things that's just to be easy and breezy, and that's what you get here with an amazing performance. Because I'm going to disagree one bit. I'm not going to say the whole cast evens out themselves. Hannah Wellingham as the main villain is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. She is like the perfect evil Farrah Fawcett dynasty 70s dynasty-esque villain humanly possible in this film, and she steals every scene she's involved in this movie in the best way humanly possible. So it's not saying everyone else is not performing great. She's just amazing whenever she's on screen. And again, it's another element that helps separate it from those other films I mentioned that may have parts that people didn't like a lot. Her performance is phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't want to say thunder, but I have to agree because there was moments where her character was interjected in the middle of high action, and she still was like must watch. You if anybody ever play a video game or anything in sports, you hate a commercial, you hate a cut screen, you want to get back into it. She was the cut screen in the commercial, except it was the one that you wanted. That kept the whole thing going. So I would agree. Great ad there. And on that note, adding, you want to stay through to the entire thing because after the credits, they got a little extra for you. Not only is it an after the credits stinger with some additional laughs and so on, but I mean, it's just a perfect ending here. I'm sure somebody said it online. I'm sure you could probably read between the lines and what we talked about today. But there was no better way for them to end this film by the way they did so. So definitely stay through it all to catch that end of the credit stinger or scene, whatever you want to call it. Nadia and Lucas, is there anything else you want to add about this film before we wrap this up for the fans here today?
Must watch in theaters. It's a blast to watch on the big screen, especially when it comes to some of the stunts.
Yeah.
That's what you're here for. You're here for the story around the stuntman of the film. Like that's the best part and the best element of it. I'm not mentioning the after credit stinger that people want to talk about, but just as the credits rolling and they show the actual stunt people behind the scenes working on the film, like that's one of the best elements of this is that you realizing that you are watching a film highlighting stuntmen. Like that don't happen unless it's a Jackie Chan movie. Like you don't get those highlights for stuntmen. So that's a great thing for Hollywood that you've taken this premise and say, you know what, we're going to highlight a sect of our community that has been going through the ringer recently with a lot of bad things going on, not of their doing, but of other studios not paying the proper attention to them and giving them the proper protection. And then you see a film here to celebrate them. So that's a huge positive for the Fall Guy.
Yeah. Last thing I say is I love the title because the title has multiple meanings within this film. Obviously, what a Fall Guy is proper, but something else that kind of interjects with the plot. So you'll love it one way or another, and you all will get a chance to check this out in theaters because it's dropping in theaters May 3rd. I would highly suggest, as Nadia say, not only do you need to go see this in theaters, but try and go see it in the biggest and best out there possible. It is going to be worth those extra dollars to hear that great sound, get that good clarity on the screen, get the big and best screen out there. You want to spend those extra dollars for this one because it is totally worth it. But on that note, folks, this is the Fall Guy again coming to theaters May 3rd. Jump in the comments, let us know your thoughts, your appreciation, your reaction to this film once you checked it out. And as always, stay tuned here for more reviews very soon. Thank you for watching.